Going live. Right, I think I'm live. Okay, hello everyone, my name is Kieran. Welcome to the Manchester United versus Burnley match preview. As you can probably tell, just as a bit of a disclaimer, I don't have proper lighting, which means my face will be behind my audio for this one, so I do apologise for that. I wasn't able to bring my lighting back home. As you can see, I am back home in the iconic backdrop of the iron and the stuff in the background. Iconic really for this channel, so obviously you'll feel at home with that. But I don't have my light with me because I couldn't get it on my train back, so I do apologise. But we are here. At least we had live streaming, which is something I haven't done in a while. So I just want to get back on the horse. For me, it's much better to interact with live comments as they're happening, and so I can react to them on the stream as it used to be. So yeah. Thanks everyone who has already joined. Welcome Man Like Mo, and on off the pitch, welcome Rodney, thanks for joining, really appreciate it. Make sure you do check out On and Off the Pitch podcast, really good stuff on there, really great stuff. Make sure you do check him out. Really recommend it, and hopefully we can link up again soon, because I really enjoyed being on the podcast and we had some really great conversations. So yeah, make sure you do check him out if you haven't already. Really good stuff on there. Man Like Mo says, yes Kieran, disappointing defeat. As I say, if you want to go check out my Liverpool match reaction and see what I had to think about that, then you can check it out on the channel right now. Ultimately, yes, it was disappointing. I can't say much more than that really. Losing to Liverpool's never nice, but they're better than us, let's face it. On paper, their team's much better than us. Going into that game, I didn't expect anything less than a defeat. And even though we did stay in the game till the end, I think Liverpool deserved to win the game, and I think 2-0 was probably the right result. Welcome Raymond, thanks for joining. I did see you subscribe to my channel about an hour before we went live, so thank you so much for joining, Raynor. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining this community. Welcome Red Devil Studio, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do check him out as well. Really good content on there. And make sure you do check out the podcast that me, Red Devil Studio, and a few other channels, Draco and the United Man do. Weekly podcast. Make sure you do check out really good stuff on there. Man Like Mo says he's Ollie out, but Glazers and Woodward need to go. Well, I mean, I agree with the second part of that. I mean, I'm not Ollie out myself. I feel like, for me, there's no point in sacking Solskjaer. I just I've seen the last three managers that we've sacked, and I just don't see the benefit that it's given us in any sense, really. So I don't see why we should sack Solskjaer, even though the results aren't great at the moment. I just don't see the benefit of sacking Solskjaer. I'm not sure what it would help us right now. I mean, would it help us? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think sacking Solskjaer would help the situation right now? Let me know. On Off the Pitch podcast says, when we having a chat, give us some dates. I will. Oh yeah, I'll message you. I'll message you. I mean, I'm very free, to be fair. I've just got my uni timetable for the second semester, and I mean, I'm at home more times than I'm actually going in. I'm only going in 2 days a week, so I'm free for most of the time. So yeah, I'll definitely message you. No problem about that. I'll definitely message you. Welcome Football Crew Show, and welcome Man Like Mo. Thanks for joining as well. Oh no, what am I saying? I've already read you out. But yeah, thanks for joining anyway. But anyway, obviously we're here to preview the Burnley game, and after the Liverpool result, and especially with tonight's game, Arsenal versus Chelsea, the feature game really of tonight's fixtures, there is a big opportunity potentially to cut the gap to Chelsea to 2 points. Now, obviously we're relying on Arsenal beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, which is not something that's happens often, but it's a potential banana skin game for Chelsea. Chelsea obviously going into that one off the back of 1-0 defeat to Newcastle. Arsenal coming into that one off a 1-1 draw against Sheffield, and you never know in these sort of big games. You never know. I think both managers are under pressure. I think Frank Lampard is under pressure a bit more than Mikel Arteta, who realistically is just kind of there to see the ship into the end of the season. Frank Lampard is needing to get Chelsea into the top four. So in some ways you'd say Chelsea are under more pressure going into this game. And you never know. I think this could be an opportunity for us, depending on the result in that game, to close the gap on top four. And we've missed a lot of opportunities already this season to close the gap on top four. Countless opportunities. I mean, even this week, it's not really an opportunity considering we were playing Liverpool. But after Chelsea's loss and after the losses are the kind of dropped points around us, I should say, with Spurs and Arsenal dropping points, it was a really good opportunity for us to kind of gain some more points on our rivals, but unfortunately we weren't able to capitalise, and that's been a trend throughout the season, really. So if tonight does give us an opportunity to close the gap on top four, we have to take it. We really do have to take it, and on paper we should. Burnley have been struggling this season, even though we did suffer a loss against Liverpool recently. We haven't been playing too badly. So again, it's a game we should win. I'm not saying that realistically it's going to be an easy game, because I don't think it will be, especially with Marcus Rashford out injured. I think that is going to hamper us. We saw in the Liverpool game that we weren't able to finish our dinner, and Marcus Rashford, on the form he's on, I think he probably would have finished that Martial chance that went a-begging in that Liverpool game. So it's going to be difficult, I think. I think finishing might be difficult. Mason Greenwood, of course, and Martial do possess, good finishing attributes. But I think actually you probably say Greenwood, who's a younger player, more inexperienced, is somewhat more consistent with his finishing than Martial this season. So maybe it's time to give Greenwood a stint up front. Who knows? Welcome Max Worth TV. Thanks for joining. He says, how do you feel about Cavani coming in to provide the goals for the rest of the season? Again, transfers. I did a video on Cavani yesterday. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. But I do think we need a striker, and I think a loan deal to end the season, just to tie us over and help us push for that top four, I think would be a decent deal to do. Cavani, the only problem with him is I don't see him coming to a team that's not in the Champions League, especially when reports are suggesting that teams like Atletico Madrid are wanting him. I think he'd much rather go to a team in the Champions League, a team that he's just doing a lot better at the moment. And even though if he came to us he'd have guaranteed game time, which he's not getting at PSG, I just don't think that he'll see us as a preferable option to PSG, to Atletico Madrid. Sorry, I just don't see it. So we'll wait and see on that one. I think he's someone who is available. Obviously, reports suggesting he handed in a transfer request. We'll see. But ultimately, I feel like he would be a decent option to bring in, but at the end of the day, I don't see it happening. It's only 10 days to go, less than 10 days to go until the transfer window shuts, and still no real movement on any of the kind of transfer sagas, if you like. The Bruno Fernandezes, the Cavani's, the Piatek's. There's no real concrete evidence that these deals are going to happen. So again, it's worrying signs and real potential, guys, that we might not get any deals done this January. And I'm prepared for it. I said at the start of this window that I don't think we're going to bring anyone in. I think there's going to be a lot of talk, but talk's very cheap, and players are not very cheap. I like that. I might use that again. Talk's very cheap, but buying in players is not very cheap. And if we know the board, they don't like to spend over the odds for players unless they get really, really pushed, or unless they're fully necessary. Someone like Harry Maguire was not worth £80 million, but if we didn't bring in someone like Harry Maguire, I think the board would have been under pressure, really under pressure. So again, Bruno Fernandes, the only reason I can see it happening is Sporting Lisbon's financial problems, and selling Bruno Fernandes would do wonders for Sporting Lisbon's financial problems. It would pretty much clear them away. So unfortunately for Sporting Lisbon, it might be they have to let the player go. Whether they let him go in January or wait till the summer, I'm not sure. But again, that is going to be one that's going to be monitored and looked at over the next 9 days. But I really do hope we bring someone in. Welcome Fergie and I, thanks for joining, mate, really appreciate it. Man Like Mo says, Sean Dyche will have a plan to beat us just like he did last season, but difference is he won't make the second mistake. Well, this is the thing. Obviously we're going to chat a bit about the game in just a second, but Sean Dyche is a wily old fox, and actually he's done well against us in the past. Last two meetings at Old Trafford, both been draws, so it's not going to be an easy game, guys. It's not going to be easy. Welcome Transmania MFC, I think Red Army MFC, thanks for joining, really appreciate it, thanks for joining. really appreciate it. And yeah, make sure you do let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, guys, really like interacting with your comments and your suggestions. Man like Mo says, which player is going to want to play for Ollie if he plays freestyle football? I mean, look, this is what I was saying. You know, obviously, Manchester United, whether you like it or not, is not the sort of hot prospect for players as it once was. You know, we're not. You know, we're not challenging for titles. We're not challenging for the big trophies anymore. Yes, we're pushing for top 4, but players nowadays want guarantees of Champions League football, and we can't guarantee that anymore. As sad as it is, we can't do that. And all the player is going to want to come to Manchester United is the money, and that is why we're having to pay much more over the odds for players now as we did under Sir Alex Ferguson. Also because, you know, the transfer market was kind of different back then and other things. But the bottom line is, we can't, you know, we're not as an attractive proposition to players as we once were. So that's why if we are going to bring in players who, you know, are probably a higher quality than what we should be bringing in, we have to pay over the odds for them. And that's what I think might happen with Bruno Fernandes. At this stage, to be fair, it's really only about bringing the players in that matters. But again, I'm not sure whether we're going to do this Bruno Fernandes deal. I was confident at the start of the window and when all this kind of news came out, but at the same time, I just don't see it happening. Raymond, yep. What am I saying? Raymond says, to see what Ollie is made of, we need to see him with the new quality players. If the results are still bad, then Ollie's tactics is the culprit. Then he needs to go. And I think there's a lot of merit in what you said there, mate. I think there is a lot of merit in what you said, because for me, you know, if you give a manager all the players they want and they fail, then you know there's only one man to blame. If you know, have a manager in and they want people and you don't give them those players, then you can't fully blame the manager. You can't say it's a manager's fault. You can't say that, because ultimately the only way you can put full blame on the manager's door is if you've helped the manager in every way they've wanted you to help them, and you give them all the help they need and they still fail. That is when you need to start asking questions. But right now, the squad that Solskjaer possesses is nowhere near good enough to be challenging for the league, and in some cases not to be challenging for top 4, because, you know, some of those players in that team are mediocre. They really are. So I think there is a future for this team. We've seen glimpses throughout the season that we can do things, but I do think there's going to have to be more signings to be brought in. And I just think that if Solskjaer isn't there, because Solskjaer started this rebuilding process, as he's called it, you know, if Solskjaer isn't there to finish this rebuilding process, then what was the point in starting it? Because if we sack Solskjaer now and bring in someone like Pochettino, then Pochettino's going to have to take over, and then he'll want a different style of players, and then we'll have a similar thing to what happened when, you know, Mourinho took over after Van Gaal, where Van Gaal was, even though the results weren't great, Van Gaal was starting to build something with the likes of Martial and Rashford in the team. You know, he was starting to build something with the young players we had in the team, and then Mourinho came in and brought in the players that he wanted, and we started, you know, trying to build a new system. You're never going to see the kind of, you're never going to get the just rewards from a system that you've built unless you fully built it. And right now, no Manchester United manager has actually fulfilled their contract at the club. So for me, I think Solskjaer, I would give him another year. I'll give him some more time. I'll give him at least the next 2 transfer windows, in my opinion. Maybe you think I'm being too nice. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat if you think I'm being too nice. I want to hear your thoughts. But for me, I want him to be able to bring in the players that he wants to bring in, and then if the results aren't great, we'll go from there. Because I think right now the squad he possesses, yes, there's some quality in there, but there's some really poor players in there as well. So I don't think you can really blame Solskjaer wholly for what's going on at the club right now. So yeah, keep your comments coming in. Red Hill Stu said Dortmund offering Palko Alcacer. He's a decent player, to be fair. Again, I'm not sure why he'd want to come to United, but could be a potential option. Mo says, if we get new owners, All right. If we get new, sorry. By the way, I'm reading off the TV because I haven't got my other monitor. My laptop screen is actually smashed. So I'm actually doing this off the TV. But anyway, Mo says if we get new owners, actually, there's a way I can do this. Make it easier to read. There we go. That's much better. I don't know why I didn't do that from the start. Mo says, if we get new owners and a director of football and Poch and proper recruitment, we will be title contenders. But it'll take us 3 to 4 years. But that's if Glazers sell the club ASAP, meaning summer they should sell. And I think, obviously, in an ideal world, that's what would happen. But I just don't see it. They're not going to set up a cash cow like Manchester United, which, even though the results aren't, going too well on the pitch, the money side is still very much profitable for them. So I don't see them standing up anytime soon. And, no protest on Twitter is going to help that. And whilst it's great to see people protesting on Twitter, my opinion on it is, if you really want something to happen, you need to take direct action, because ultimately, making a hashtag on Twitter with 30,000 people tweeting it is all great, but it's not going to make a change. Red Devil Shoes says no previous manager has been fully backed by the Glazers. I totally agree. On off the pitch, Ronnie says this period will be a long one in terms of rebuilding. The club needs to get back to get the basics right. Yep, I think we're in for the long haul here, guys. We are in for the long haul, and it's sad to say, but I think ultimately that's where we are. We're in for the long haul. It's not going to be a pretty few seasons. And it might take as long as it did for Liverpool to win a league title for us to. And I'm fully ready for that, to be honest. I'm fully, prepared for that to be the case. I've kind of just accepted it. So, it's unfortunate, but it's the way it's going to be, I think. And that's all I can really say on that. Cheers, mate. Remember to like the stream, guys. Yeah, please do like the stream if you aren't already. Really, really good stuff. Mo says, Kieran, I heard Poch wants full control of transfers. Do you honestly believe he will get full control? We got bankers in charge, not winners. We need Saudis ASAP. Well, I mean, Saudis is a very interesting one. You drop the S-bomb. Saudis, look, I'm not sure what I think. Obviously, they pump a lot of money into the club, but I don't know. All the time we've been saying that Man City are oil money. They're kind of just an artificial club. Would we be hypocritical if Saudis took us over? It's an interesting question. Red Hot Shoes says Ollie also keeps saying he's unhappy with the squad as well, so it's difficult. I agree. It's difficult. The squad he's got isn't the greatest, and he knows that, and the fans know that as well. And that's why, if we did bring in a few additions this transfer window, and then, we gave Ollie to the summer, he made a few additions, and the results still weren't picking up, then potentially you can start to ask questions. But I think as the squad is right now, he hasn't got a lot to work with. So it's hard to fully blame Ollie, really. But anyway, back to the Burnley game, and obviously Burnley come into this off the back of an impressive win against Leicester, which actually got overlooked somewhat because Burnley weren't doing too well going into that game, and Leicester were high-flying, second in the league, doing really well for themselves, and they got beaten 2-1 at Turf Moor. Obviously, Jamie Vardy missed a penalty which helped, or saved a penalty from his penalty was saved by Nick Pope, whichever way you want to look at it, and Leicester suffered defeat. And maybe this might be the start of their kind of stumbling block, who knows. But Burnley have shown that whilst their form hasn't been great this year, they have the ability to play a really solid game of football. And especially against us, they've always kind of given us a really good game, especially at Old Trafford. Last few seasons, as I said, it's been a draw. And even in the game we played them away from home, yes, they didn't put up too much of a fight, and we won the game 2-0 in the end. It could have been a few more if we could take our chances. But at the same time, Burnley are no mugs, and they've got players that can hurt us. Their physical presence, I think, will be definitely a weapon against our defence, which, especially from set pieces, we are horrible from set pieces. So I think they're going to really try and use that to their advantage. And I would not be surprised if they score from a set piece. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. So that's something they're going to use to their advantage. But yeah, we've just got to be clinical, and I think one thing that Burnley should do if they want to try and get a result is to sit off us a bit. I think if we're not very good when it comes to playing against low blocks, against teams that defend. We love counter-attacking. So if they just sit back and let us attack, whilst they're letting attacks on, if they can just be defensively solid and hold out, I think that they'll be fine. And I don't want to give Sean Dyche's tactics to beat us, but if I was a manager, playing against Manchester United, that's how I'd set up. I'd set up defensively. I'd just set up, 11 men in front of the ball, and just let us counter-attack, because we know that Manchester United's strength is counter-attacking. They've got a lot of pace, so that's what I'd do. And if Burnley do that, I think it could be very, very difficult for us tomorrow. And I think that's what they'll do. And especially from set pieces, as I said, with the likes of Barnes and Chris Wood as well, some really kind of physical presences in there. And with the delivery of Charlie Taylor and who's the other one? I can't remember his name. The young kid. They've got some decent players in there. So again, I think that's going to be their main threat for us going into this game. We can create chances. We saw against Liverpool, we did create a few chances, and we did look kind of good going forward at times. It's just finishing. That's going to be our problem. Marcus Rashford, even though he was a bit up and down, with finishing. Recently, he's actually picked up, and his quality of finishing has been very, very good. And that's why he's got the kind of nearly 20 goals this season. In fact, I think before he got injured, he was on course for about 33, 34 goals in all competitions. So really unfortunate to see him, go off with that injury. Unfortunate or incompetence. I don't know. You let me know your thoughts on that. But yeah, Rashford's injury is a massive, massive blow for us. So again, finishing is going to be a problem, I think. But I still think we should win this game. And I'm going to give you my predicted lineup as well. Let me know your predicted lineups as well in the live chat if you haven't already. And also in the comment section below, make sure if you are watching this as a video, as a little kind of podcast or whatever, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below on what you think going into this game. Mo here says, but people calling him a PE teacher and nasty stuff is not a nice thing to do. I agree. I fully agree. Mo, he also says, because fans who go to matches are the problem, why Glazers won't go the same fans of the energy on Twitter and Instagram, but when it comes to real, they're pussies. Sorry for the language, Nate. Don't worry, you can say whatever you want in the chat. I've got no words that are kind of censored or anything, so you can basically say whatever you want. It's your opinion at the end of the day. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Obviously, these sort of protests you get on Twitter and Instagram, whatever, they're great to see from a fan's point of view, because it shows that everyone's on the same page in terms of the direction they want the club to go in and what they want to happen. But at the same time, a protest on Twitter realistically isn't going to worry the Glazers or Ed Woodward at all. It's something which will be there. It'll be there today, gone tomorrow. If you stop showing up to games, or do protests outside the ground and really make your voice heard, then that's when things start to be done. If you don't do that, nothing's going to realistically change. And whilst it's great to see the hashtags, nothing's going to change because of them. So I support the hashtags fully, but I think you need to do actual action. We need to have some actual kind of action outside of that as well. Raymond says, Rashford's injury is an eye-opener for Ollie. Some players should really be rested now, like Bissaka and Fred. But then, if we lose again, top four might really be gone. I think that's the problem. I think, especially with this game, this Arsenal-Chelsea game today, it could present an opportunity for us to close that gap. If we don't take the opportunity, then we probably won't get many opportunities towards the end of the season. Plus the fact that we'll probably drop points because our squad isn't brilliant. So we have to take every single opportunity we can get. And this game tomorrow could potentially provide an opportunity as well. Welcome to the Tactical Show. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it, mate. Really appreciate it, Asim. Thanks for joining. Ollie in, he says Ollie in. I'm Ollie in for now as well. As I said, I said it previously in the stream. I don't see why we should get rid of him. I don't see how it'd help the situation at the moment. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat as well. Moses Kieran, my cousin, is Ollie in for his own reasons. He thinks Ollie is the root of getting rid of the Glazers. What do you think of that? It's an interesting take on it, to be fair. Ollie being the root of getting rid of the Glazers. I think a lot of fans are more behind Ollie than they were Jose Mourinho when both managers were in the same situation. And I think that is a lot to do with the fact that Solskjaer is a good guy. He's someone who, I'm not saying Jose Mourinho wasn't a good guy, but Solskjaer's a good guy, a Manchester United legend, and people want to see him succeed at this club desperately. And I think a lot of people are behind Solskjaer. Much of the match-going fans are still behind him. But yeah, I think if we get rid of the Glazers and Woodward, I think, and bring in somebody else, because I mean, at the end of the day, I think they've had their chance of running the football side of the club. That's what obviously Gary Neville said. Who's that in the background? It's just Big O, a bit of a legend on the channel. He's been on a few times, so yeah. Hey! There you go, there's his voice there. But I'm going to give you my predicted lineup for this game. I'm going to go with David De Gea in goal. Back four, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka, Maguire. Eric Bailly is back fully fit, so I think Bailly might play in this game, especially after Lindelof was sent home from training with an illness. So I think potentially Bailly and Maguire might start a little bit of a partnership, and I'm really happy to see Bailly back. I just really hope he can stay off the injury table, the treatment table I should say, because he's had some really bad injuries and hasn't really played many games for us in the last 2 seasons. So we need to keep Bailly fit, because I think actually he's still a very decent centre-back when he wants to be. And I think Maguire and Bailly could be our partnership. And then I think we're going to play Brandon Williams at left-back. Midfield, I think we'll see Matic, Pereira and Fred again. And I think the front three will be James, Greenwood and Martial. I think we'll see Martial up front, James on the right-hand side, and potentially Mason Greenwood coming off the left, and Martial and Greenwood interchanging. So there's my kind of predicted lineup for the game. I don't see how many other options he could bring in. Potentially Juan Mata could play, or Jesse Lingard. The midfield is something that could change. We might see Pereira out for Mata, or Lingard in for Pereira. I think that's something that could change. So we'll see. But ultimately, that's my predicted lineup for the game. Let me know your thoughts on that in the live chat and all that. Man like Moses, but Glazers or Woodward will sack Ollie first. I think that's probably what would happen, mate. I think we saw that with the likes of Mourinho. When Mourinho was having a go at the When Mourinho was having a go at the board and things like that, you knew that he was going to go first. And I think if Solskjaer starts having a go at the board and things start getting out of hand, I think that's what's going to happen in the end of the day. Because ultimately the board have ultimate control. They've they've got control. They've got the power in the end of the day, and they will always hold the power as long as they're part of this club. Mo says Matic can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, well, to be fair to Matic, I don't think he's been too bad in the last few games. I think he's actually played alright. He hasn't been our worst player, let's say it like that, but at the same time, he is kind of the epitome of the problems within the squad at Manchester United. Like a player like Matic is still at the club. So I think he can do a job for us, but I think we should be looking elsewhere. We can't have Nemanja Matic as a long-term option for midfield. Your mate makes me laugh. I know. Yeah, he has all the jokes, mate. He's a joker. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, going into this game is a game we have to win. And I think we should win the game. I don't think it's going to be easy, but it's a game we should win. But I think if we do lose the game, again, a lot more pressure is going to go back onto Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A lot of pressure. And I think he is starting to feel the pressure. I mean, it seems like when he started the job, he was full of life. He was full of youth. He was still the babyface assassin. And now you see him, and it's kind of like the Mourinho effect, where you take the job at United and you just start to age with all the stress. And to be honest with you, I sympathise with him. I do sympathise with him. I can't blame him. Please do leave a like, guys, if you aren't already as well. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, we've nearly been streaming for about half an hour, so I'll probably end it soon anyway. So before I end it, if you are watching right now, I want everyone to watch. Please, everyone who's watching, please do leave your predictions in the live chat right now. Leave your predictions in the live chat. I want to hear what you guys are saying for the game. what's the scoreline, and who are scoring the goals. Raymond said, do you think Bruno's deal is still on or dead already? I'm not sure, mate. I'm really not sure. I think the Bruno Fernandes deal is in the balance 50-50. I think obviously he's starting for Sporting Lisbon tonight. So that might suggest that the deal is kind of going more towards the failed side of things. But again, from the noises I've heard from the media, which often turn out to be absolute rubbish, is that, you know, Sporting and Manchester United both want this deal to happen. So, you know, if you believe that side of things, then the deal's still very much possible. However, the way that Sporting are acting, the way that Sporting want higher amount of money for him, money that probably he's not worth, let's be honest, but money they know that we have, I just don't see it happening. I think it could happen in a future transfer window, but I think if we do continue to, you know, bolster the price and you know, if the goalposts continue to be moved, I think we'll probably end up pulling out of the deal. And I know that a lot of United fans won't be happy with that, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. So yeah, unfortunately, I feel like the deal is slipping away, but I don't think it's dead. I don't think the deal is dead. I think it's slowly but surely slipping away, so we need to get a grip on it. If not, move on to another target. You know, they're talking potentially about Vecino from Inter Milan. I haven't seen much of him, but to be fair, we just need midfielders, and Bruno Fernandes would be a very, very good signing, and I think the main target we should be going for, realistically. Moses, I don't think we'll win the league for a long time, maybe until 2030, another 10 years. That's very much possible. You know, the way that Liverpool are, Man City, you know, they're so far ahead of us, and, you know, they're going to recruit players as well. They're going to, you know, recruit players, stay at the top level. So it's not going to be easy for us. It's not going to be easy, and it will take time. But if we do put in place the right recruitment process and, you know, have the right people and people backing the manager that's there, I think we can do something. There's no reason why not. Mo says Ed Woodward can't get his own dinner done, let alone Bruno. Exactly. You know, Ed Woodward, whilst he's pulled off some decent signings in the past, his track record isn't brilliant. His track record is not great with signings. I would say, realistically, only about 5 signings under Ed Woodward have worked out. You know, you could say someone like Mata, probably, considering his longevity at the club. And Herrera as well, I thought he actually did alright. Martial, I guess you could say. I'm struggling, to be honest. I'm struggling. Let me know any other suggestions. What signings under Ed Woodward have been a success? It's difficult. I mean, obviously Wan-Bissaka looks to be a very good player. Maguire looks to be a decent player, even though he's not really fulfilling the potential that we thought he'd have in him. He's not really performing to the level that we thought he'd be, but I think Maguire is still a decent option. So, again, we'll see what happens with that one. Red L Shoe says we need forwards now that Rashford's out. I agree. I think, obviously, Cavani seems to be on the market. Paco Alcacer as well, you mentioned. So I think we do need to bring in a forward at least to the end of the season, because we are light. We're definitely light on forwards. So that is something I want to see. If I could, you know, if we could get Bruno and somebody else over the line, I think that would be a fairly good January transfer window. Mo says, why do you think he will not get a director of football who knows more than him? That's the reason why I might give Ollie director of football, and Ollie will get red passports, meaning English players. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, the thing is, if Ed Woodward decides we should bring in a director of football, then he relinquishes a lot of his own power, because that means he only does the business side of things, and obviously having control over the football side of things as well, in terms of bringing in players, gives him a lot of power. And I think some people, you know, like the power, and Ed Woodward might be one of those people who doesn't want to give up the power that he has. So that might be a difficult thing to sort out, but we definitely do need director of football. We've been talking about this for ages, really. But if we can get in a director of football, and there are some rumours circulating that we might bring one in, if we can do that, I think that'll be a really welcome. I mean, it would almost be better than a new signing. because it will mean that we can really start to plan for the future and start to bring in players that will fit the mould of this club. So I'm all for that, really am. But my score prediction for the game, guys, is I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Manchester United. I think even though we'll probably see a reaction from that Liverpool game, I think Burnley are they're no mugs. They're no mugs. And, they've had a good record coming to Old Trafford, and we can't finish our dinner at the moment. So I think it's going to be difficult, but I do think we'll come out on top 2-1. I think that Martial and Greenwood will score the goals for us. And I think probably Ashley Barnes, who has a brilliant track record of scoring against Manchester United, will bag one. So for me, I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for Manchester United. Hopefully we don't draw again. That would be so frustrating. But a 2-1 win to United. And we need to win. We need to win this game, because ultimately the Chelsea game that kicks off in about half an hour's time, it could present an opportunity for us to, go 2 points behind them, potentially. Obviously, Chelsea might extend their lead to 8 points by the time we play tomorrow, which makes it even more of a must-win game if that happens. So we need to take the opportunities when they arise to us, and tonight might present us another opportunity. Who knows? So for me, it's 2-1. Football Crucio says Cavani reminds me of another Falcao. I totally agree with that. He says, if United gets him, but on the other hand, I can see him joining either Spurs or Chelsea. I think Spurs or Chelsea are probably the two clubs he's looking at. Chelsea are in the Champions League as well. And I think Spurs, they need to replace Harry Kane, obviously, with a really bad injury he's got. So I think, Cavani to Spurs or Chelsea, probably the most likely. But you never know in this transfer window. Strange things do happen. A few score predictions. Football Crucio 1-0 loss. Man like Mogos 1-0 Greenwood to score. Red Hill Studio 2-0 to United. So overall decent, positive predictions. Football Crucio not too confident, but to be fair, the way we're playing at the moment, I can't really disagree with you. I can't say it's a bad prediction. With United, you never know what United's going to turn up. 1 week we can beat Newcastle 4-1. The next week we can get absolutely pummeled by Watford. You never know what's going to happen. So I really don't blame you. Raymond goes for the 1-0 win to United. And also, Raymond, thanks for joining for your first stream on the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll be back for many, many more. So thanks for joining. And thank you to everyone who has joined me tonight. Really appreciate it. I'm probably going to end the stream there. Really have enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well, if you are watching as a video. Leave a like, share the stream around, share the channel around as well. Getting closer to 780 subscribers, nearing that 800 subscriber mark. So anything you guys can do to help us out with that would be absolutely fantastic. Share around with your mates on Twitter. That'd be absolutely brilliant. But guys, that's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go watch the Arsenal-Chelsea game. I'll be on Twitter as well, so make sure you do follow my Twitter in the link in the description down below. But thanks for everyone for watching. Really appreciate you all. And I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully after a really good result against Burnley. And something good to shout about, some positivity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.